Having the right settings for your supplier's catalogs is essential for an optimal use of the software, both in terms of a visual representation and for the pricing. This video aims to show you how to set up your parameters and explain where to enter your sales coefficients, point values, amounts before or after tax, profit margins, etc. etc. Let's check out how to set up the parameters of your supplier's catalogs. The supplier settings can be found in the Setup drop-down menu in Pricing and then Supplier. To create your first supplier, click on Add. On the left, enter all of the information that you have about your supplier, such as an identifier. Enter the name of the supplier here. The code is only used for certain specific suppliers. If this is relevant to you, the information will have been given to you beforehand by your supplier. Otherwise, you can leave the field empty. Your supplier's contact information. Then your customer code, i.e. the code you gave to your supplier when you place an order with him. In other words, your manufacturer client account. The box EcoMob code to declare. This was added so it could be added to the XML file that will be sent to the supplier. It allows you to evaluate the amount of eco furniture to declare separately from everything else. Then, on the left side, search in the drop-down menu for the catalogs you wish to set parameters for. Once you have found them, select them and click on Add. They will then appear in the list of catalogs that you wish to set parameters for. Now click on Set Parameters. Firstly, select the before or after tax sales coefficient. Coefficients tend to be before tax, but sometimes the VAT has already been added to the sales coefficients. If so, choose after tax. Let's go through the parameters per front model. This is where you set up the pricing according to the front models in the catalogue. Click on Per Front Model. Now let's look at the window that opens. The first three columns cannot be changed. They contain, in order, the front model name, its code, i.e. its reference, and finally the price group to which the front model belongs. The next four columns allow you to set up your pricing. The value point column is to do with the value point provided by the manufacturer. Indeed, the prices given by manufacturers need to be in points and not in a currency. However, you can convert them. An X piece of furniture that is worth 1,000 points can be converted into euros thanks to the value point that you will enter here. For example, with a value point of 0.45, a 1,000 point piece of furniture will be worth 1,000 times 0.45, which is 450 euros, purchase value before tax. The purchase coefficient column allows you to adjust your purchase value. For example, if the manufacturer offers you a 10% discount on the purchase, you will have to enter 0.9 here. You will then obtain the actual supplier purchase price. Let's take our example furniture with 1,000 points. 1,000 times 0.45, which gives 450 euros purchase value before tax, multiplied by 0.9 for the 10% discount, which gives us 405 euros real supplier purchase value before tax. The selling price will be calculated from the purchase price excluding discount. In our example, the calculation will be on 450 euros. If you want your manufacturer discount to be passed on to the client, then we recommend including it in the discount on the value point. For example, 10% discount to be integrated to our previous point value of 0.45 will give 0.45 times 0.9, or 0.405 in point value. Our favourite 1,000 points piece of furniture will cost 1,000 times 0.405, or 405 euros. The selling price will be calculated from this. Let's look at the two cases, the discount not passed on to the customer and the discount passed on to the customer. In both cases, the selling price is calculated on the supplier purchase price calculated from the point value. If you do not benefit from any manufacturer discount, leave the 1 by default in the purchase coefficient column. Then the columns bottom, lowest minimum sales coefficient, and default, recommended sales coefficient. While the bottom sales coefficient column is optional, the same cannot be said for the default sales coefficient column. Indeed, the default sales coefficient corresponds to your final sales coefficient, the one that allows you to obtain the selling price to be given to your client. For example, a recommended sales ratio of 2 means multiplying your purchase price by 2. We will enter 2 for our example. You can decide to set a bottom sales coefficient. In our example, 1.6 corresponds to the coefficient below which you do not want to sell. With these two coefficients set, the system will be able to calculate the difference between your default selling price and your bottom price. This will give you the value in euros that gives a discount to your customer. Let's take a look at a diagram for a clearer explanation. Now, let's look at where to find this information in your project. In your scene, at the bottom right, you will find the information. D stands for difference. In this case, you have a difference of 180 euros between your selling price and your bottom price. You can therefore give a discount of 180 euros before reaching your minimum price. Let's get back to the supplier parameters. If your value point and your coefficients are the same no matter the front model, then you can just enter the information on the first line and click on Copy to all front models. The software will copy this first line on all other lines. Note that you can also set parameters from your price groups or category. Indeed, if your value point or coefficients change based on the price groups, then you can enter price group 1 on one line, price group 2 on the next line, etc. etc. At the end, click on Copy Identical PCs, PC for price category or PG for price group. Finally, if you have already set parameters for other catalogs from this manufacturer and the one we are working on is the last to be put online, then you can click on Copy from Old Catalog to retrieve the settings of an old catalog. We can now do the same thing by family. Families are items that are not dependent on the front models, for example, worktops or bases. In the same way as seen before, you can enter your values, points and sales coefficients. Once again, you can copy the first line to all families. Setting parameters per article is quite rare because it amounts to carrying out a price parameterization on one or more articles in particular. In this case, you must enter the item reference and then the different coefficients. Now confirm all the windows by clicking on OK and your settings will be taken into account. To check a price, you can click on an item, then right-click and choose Price. This gives you the details of the price of the item and allows you to check your settings. This is also possible from the pricing view. Your catalog parameters have been set, and you can now price your projects.